Down Maumau Lane and the Stretch of My Life. This book is not about the Maumau history but a personal encounter from a woman growing up in central Kenya during the state of emergency. She lays her life bare for the reader to see uncertainty of a woman surrounded by myriad of challenges, fighting to be accepted, marriage and its excitement, abusive relationships, career challenges, children upbringing, sickness and ministry, among other issues. Chapter 1. Maumau Guerrilla War, Curfew and Emergency in Central Kenya. I was born 65 years ago in Kianjai Center, Githunguri Sub-County, Kiambu County, and that's where I grew up. This was during the British Gulag in central Kenya, where I witnessed our parents enslaved through to forced labor. They used to be waking up at 5 a.m. every day, leaving us, the little kids, to prepare breakfast for ourselves. Before we moved to Gishagi concentration camp that the colonial government forced Kikuyu people into, we were ordered to leave homes every evening to go to our local church. We only took blankets, then used dry banana leaves for our mattresses, and would spend the nights and go home in the mornings. Our parents did their chores quickly before evening to manage the journey back to church for overnight stay. The reason for this was to starve Maumau guerrillas who were fighting the colonial government for independence. It had been known that they were venturing into homes at night for food, which they will take back to the forest. The key target forests were the Aberdares and Mount Kenya. These were days after declaration of state of emergency. Curfew was decreed by colonial government and nobody moved out of the house between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. This lasted for 7 years. The period was called Wehuge in Kikuyu. We had been warned to hide in bushes if we happened to be coming from river and hear the military Land Rover coming up the road. It was really hard to pair up school, after school and home chores. One would get late at once. I therefore saw and checked many times whether military Land Rover was coming up the road from Ruiru to Githunguri. Juni's British troops were bad and cruel. Our parents told us that they were in those Land Rovers, therefore we were very careful. Kenyatta and Bio Koinange have built a teachers' college for African independent schools. Between 1952 and 1959, the colonial government had destroyed the Githunguri Teachers College and in its place built gallows where they were executing those who are found to have taken Maumau all together with their sympathizers and collaborators. There was also a kangaroo court. Due to the proximity of our home, we used to hear the condemned people making noise somewhere, singing patriotic songs as they were led to the gallows, and others were screaming and crying loudly. The nights were airy because of gallows. Due to this state of emergency, hunger and poverty were prevalent. The Red Cross came in handy, and Tatawa Twana, children's aunties, was Mrs. Githuri Shoshowa Waba, whose daughter Mama Wamba or Njeriwa Waba is my family friend. They live in North Carolina, USA with my son David and family. As a child, I used to say Shosho Wamba, the Tatawa Twana, arrived in Land Rover with European lady. They used to visit all the concentration camps around central Kenya as Red Cross providing us children with milk, canned meat and beans during the day while our parents did forced labor. People used to think and say that canned meat and milk were camel products. Nevertheless, we ate and drank that milk and it helped us. Parents were forced to dig deep protective trenches around school, churches and trading centers, fixing sharp pointed sticks all around to trap the enemy, Maumau. There was nowhere they could enter since there was only guarded entry to those places. They were also forced to prepare furrows in different places around their areas where there was a post lighthouses where the home guards were stationed. The lighthouses were elevated high above the ground, which sentries keep watch overnight. The independence struggle was so hard because it pitted father against son, brother against each other. People were between a rock and a hard place. If you supported the authorities, the Maumau will come for you. On the other hand, if you supported Maumau, the authorities will come for you. Betrayal was on either side. Those who took the oath were betrayed to the white man, and those who declined were betrayed to the Maumau. It was a real dilemma. My dad had been a dairy manager in Lord Delamere's ranch where the war broke out. He came back to Central from Rift Valley. Some people betrayed him and said he had gone home in Central without taking the oath. Somebody was sent and told him to return to Rift Valley if he wanted to live with his head in place. The messenger helped him with taking the oath instead of beheading him. He could not go back to the Rift Valley. Senior Chief Waruhe and the Sub-Chief Dalen Kimani Gadhuru were our relatives. They talked him into conscription in the administration, though it was dangerous joining either. He became a home guard and was posted to Karweti concentration camp, which was one on the opposite side of Wakijiji and River Katweri, which separated the two concentration camps. He could go there every evening. There were wild animals roaming about those days, but since he was allocated a firearm, he was okay. He used to tell us that since the time he left our village for Karweti, I was always in dark and somewhere along the way in the bush. He used to tell us that since the time he left our village for Karweti, it was always dark, and somewhere along the way in the bush, a tiger always spotted him and followed him in the darkness along a bushy footpath. He said every time he returned around and aimed a gun at it, its eyes shone like two torches, but it used to be scared and retreat to the bush. Dad was so cool. He liked Karweti village. All people liked him so much because instead of being cruel to them, he used to protect them, and even when other cops got cruel, especially to the elderly, he protected and shielded them. He told us that all people always invoked blessings upon him every time he saved them, and by the end of emergency period, he had so many couples from Karweti who had become his lifelong friends.